another fly out. I swear to God, there's a bird in my grill.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sick.
I hit a
Isn't
bird.
that great?
Dude, I hit a bird.
So we're out here in the Apalachicola National Forest. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This is actually the largest national forest in the state of Florida. So Ocala is number 2. This is the largest in the state. It's pretty cool. I guess we're going to be hanging out a little bit in here today, and then we're going to be going to an area somewhere nearby where there's also a similar kind of environment.
I'm being optimistic about it. We have, so far it's kind of been a bust.
Florida, yeah, we're hoping this is the Florida's last chance to give us some squatchiness.
So I guess we'll find out and hopefully get lucky.
It's miles and miles of nothing around here, and there's some parts that look really dense and some part like a dense forest and some parts that look very swampy, so it's kind of a unique looking area.
Yeah, we're just in the corner of it too. We're not even that far in.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
How would you compare it to Ocala?
I don't know. It's hard to compare. There's a lot more tree coverage, so.
Here?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot more trees here. The trees are closer together here than they were in Ocala.
Right.
So.
It's a ghost! I'm on the go! Girl, coming back!
Well, we're driving down this road. I'm not using the gas pedal to save gas because we need to conserve it. We've used a third of a tank already.
We used a third. We've been on like 2 miles.
But anyway,
there's a car.
We do our best to save gas. I'm not using the gas pedal. I mean, you can see I'm not even pulling the steering wheel. We're good.
The hell is that, a couch? We're out here in the middle of nowhere, going to a location given to us by Stacy Brown. They're going to be meeting us here tomorrow, him and some of his guys. We'll see, it's pretty swampy. There's a lot of palmettos, a lot of trees. Looks like a pretty good area overall. So we'll have to see what happens or how conducive the area is, but it looks pretty good to me.
I guess we'll find out, really.
I know this rubs a lot of people wrong because when you think Bigfoot, Sasquatch, something like that, you think Washington State, Northern California. And I kind of have a problem with those states because you get the hard freeze, you know what I mean? And of course I'm not from there, so I know bears go into a hibernation. You have other large animals that somehow make it through the winter. Here we don't really have that problem. There's a food source year round. You know, to me, it makes sense that there would be more of these type creatures in almost like a subtropical climate or something like that, where you don't really have to put on the pounds to survive the winter.
Stacy Brown Jr. is a researcher based out of Florida. He gained notoriety and became the center of controversy when he and his father filmed a possible Sasquatch creature on a thermal device in 2012.
Me and my dad were camping out at Torreya State Park. Now this part of Florida is, I guess people here call it like the foothills of the Appalachians. You know what I mean? It's the one spot with elevation. And so the terrain's different, substrate's different, you know, the plants that grow there, you know, everything's just unique to that area. So we're in this spot. It looks super squatchy. My dad had just beat cancer, you know, so we're spending some time. He's able to go out and do now, and he wants to spend some time with his son because we're tight, man, best friends. And my dad at this point, he likes the idea of Bigfoot, okay? Doesn't believe in Bigfoot, but he knows that something's affected me to the point to where I quit my band. You got to figure, I've been in my band trying to be that, you know, since I was like 14. That was a big deal for me, and he realized it, so he gave me the money to buy a thermal camera, you know, and to get some equipment. And I literally was spending every weekend out in this spot. And so he wanted to see what was up. He picked me up from work. We hike into the Rock Creek campground. It's about a mile from the trailhead parking lot there. And we're grilling, you know, we're playing music, like some metal, some Rob Zombie, stuff like that. We hear a knock. You know, he wanted to come out there, and we get out there, we hear a knock, and skeptic that he was, he's like, it's the wind blowing the trees together. It's kind of like it is now, a little bit of wind. And there's another knock. And then there's another knock. You know, this is about over probably 30, 45 minutes. I was like, well, let's go out. They're here. They're coming in, you know. And he's, if there's another knock, we'll go out. And it's like right as he said it. The last knock was like a, right? There was like a grunt, like it forcefully knocked. And at that point, he's like, okay, we'll go out. You know, he's going to humor me. We leave camp, and we kind of have the perfect storm. The cicadas in May, ungodly loud. Right, you can still hear footfalls a little bit, but the cicadas just the trail there when you're walking out of the camp, the palmettos are about head high, right? So we're lights out. I'm holding on to the back of his shoulder for the most part. I got this little Sony Handycam, and he's walking with a thermal. We're hearing stuff on our left. We're hearing stuff running on our right. Not hearing any more knocks. And we get to where we're thinking is the trail. Dad takes the left, and we follow that down, and you hear something coming on the ridge, boom, 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 running like it's heavy, and it stops. And so my dad stops. He's like, I think I see it. So at first he thinks it's a raccoon. It's only sticking out of one part of the tree, and then he's like, that's two raccoons. Something happened. It takes off this thing. My dad's just like, we gotta go, like freaking out. Now my dad's a retired ranger. I ain't seen my dad like this. So I'm automatically thinking of Panther, because I have no idea what the hell he's seen. He can see us, it's looking right at us. Well, it's going the way we came. So I'm like, stop, what the hell? And he can't even catch his breath. We get back to the camp. He's just like tearing everything down. We got to get the fuck out of here. I still don't know what we've seen. And you can still hear this thing like following us up the hill to the trailhead. We get to the truck, and I get to watch the footage. This is what we're hiring for. Why are we leaving? He's like, I'll hand you the shit and you can go back yourself. I'm not sitting out here. I don't know what that was. I was like, dude, that's a Bigfoot. That's a skunk ape. And he's like, what if it's somebody watching us? Then he goes through those whole motions of, are you messing with me? I'm like, look around you, bro. There's nobody in the parking lot. And we sat on it for like a week before we really discussed it. Like in my head, though, I'm like, we filmed a Bigfoot. We just filmed a Bigfoot. I am so excited, wanting to just throw this out there and let people see it, because, hey, we filmed a Bigfoot. My dad's like, what if it's not a Bigfoot? I'm like, so hold on, you're telling me there's a naked dude running through the woods with no flashlight? And it was so dark that night you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. So he's like, well, let's send it out. You know some people we can send it to. He wanted to send it to Derek Randall's, because he thought a lot of Derek Randall's and I'd sent it to Meldrum and Cliff, a few other people, and Cliff asked if he could do the investigation, and my dad was like, yeah, that's great, let him do the investigation, because we don't know. We're constantly going back out there, and so the spot is an hour and 45 minutes from my house. It's a trip, but we make probably 8 to 10 trips for Cliff to get numbers, different things, because another thing, like I mentioned earlier, we thought we were on the Blue Trail that went to the Stone Bridge. We were not. We actually walked down a game trail. And then Cliff comes back with the investigation, and, we release it. My dad's reluctant to even do it then. He's like, I don't know if I really want the noise. And I'm like, man, listen, we can prove this to the world. He's like, I proved it to myself. My dad was that guy. I'm the guy that's been picked on my whole life and had to hear the noise. Back when I was a kid, Bigfoot was cool to me. I'd seen Unsolved Mysteries of Dave Shealy, and I was like, holy cow, we have Bigfoots in Florida. And I was that guy that wanted to tell everybody, hell with y'all, I wasn't lying. Yeah, it's something, and even the people, even though we go through all the motions to show the footage is real, you still have people don't like me for whatever reason, or don't like the fact that they didn't get the footage or something, so they're going to talk. It's something to know you're telling the truth and have somebody call you a liar.
What's up, dude? Gotta get something to drink, man. Trying to be healthier. So I'm on this drinking water kick that starts right now.
What, drinking water kick?
Yeah, I don't drink water. So I either drink soda or sweet tea. I drink a gallon of sweet tea a day. So
That's a lot, dude.
That's been going on for 35 years. I'm 37, so it probably started when I was 1. So 36. And, I quit smoking, trying to be healthier. So here's to my water, healthy living. I'm working out.
Talk about
Punched
bad
my door.
timing. But I've been down there since then, just kayaking in that area.
How'd
Beautiful
that
spot. I
work
love
out
that
for
little
you?
tower.
Well, it didn't.
Up and you see the whole area.
Yeah, and it's like
Because
Vietnam.
my hand
It's
is
jungle.
It's nuts, yeah.
It's crazy, huh?
Seen armadillos
Yep.
out there and shit. Like, it's a good little area. I love Florida.
Yeah.
Around. Crazy shit.
Look at that thing.
Whoa.
You look like an ugly version of Yoda, Eli.
God, all right.
Joining Stacy are fellow researchers and members of the Outkast Paranormal team, James Brost and RPG.
I'm new to the Florida. Now, did we come here with Finding Bigfoot? Did we went right to Stacy's spot? Did we get around? Yeah, absolutely. I don't have as much time in the woods as the boys here, which is what's exciting about our movie, The Skunk Ape Experiments, is I'm like the fish out of water, who's come into this Florida man world, which is very Australian. I mean, you just, the snakes, the spiders, everything is huge here. And all I can tell you is I've lived in Maine, I've lived in California, I've lived all over the place, and I haven't had as much activity or opportunity to go out with people and connect. Maybe it's just the great weather, or maybe it's the fact that this truly is one of the best areas to have a Squatch experience.
For me, I met up with Stacy some years back at an event I sponsored that he was at, and I monopolized all his time. There were some people that he was taking out for tours, and I just talked his ear off, and that led into a relationship and some spots that he pointed me towards. I know there's something out there. Stacy's got some great evidence. We've experienced some things, and it's always enough to keep you coming back, for sure.
This area here, you have so many miles and so many miles of just woods. That's what people don't realize about Florida. Besides the real 5-6 major cities, in between those cities is absolutely nothing but woods. And so this is a stretch here. You have the St. Marks River, the Wassissa, the Osceola, and the Econfina right here, and they all within about 50 miles of each other converge. All that land in between is refuge. You know what I mean? So there's roads in here, but I think we're at least 30 miles from a decent store right now.
When you think of Florida, you don't think of maybe vast areas that are hardly accessible, maybe except for the Everglades.
Just driving out here to Goose Pasture, it's like this is the squatchiest place I've ever been. And I've been Pacific Northwest. I've driven off on these logging roads and stuff.
I'm quoting it wrong, but I believe the first indigenous people to live in the state, they believe lived in this area. The giant sloths, the giant armadillos, they've pulled all that stuff out of here. The habitat's just, it supports all life all year round. The fresh water, the abundance of the water, I think helps this area, and it's just the isolation at the end of the day.
Here, you've got really the whole gamut of wildlife that's easy accessible. You've got fruits, you've got nuts, you've got bamboo, so completely plausible, just hotter.
We have seasons here, but they're more mild, which means there's a lot more opportunity to get out. And it's like anything, you know, you go fishing, the more you cast, the better your odds. And so I think for the first time in my life, even though I've lived in very squatchy places, this is where I'm going to have my watershed moment, my truly like, and then I'll know in that moment if I'm over it, you know, or if now it's time to triple down and like go harder and harder.
Here, a lot of the reports you hear are more terrifying, attack-like reports. It's hotter here, you know what I mean? Crime goes up here during the hot months. Everybody's ornery, everybody's angry, so they perceive everything else as being angry too. We get 9 months, 90-degree plus. You know, it takes a certain kind of individual to be able to sustain in this. I don't believe it allows them to gain the weight, the one I did see versus the one I seen in California. The same creature, obviously smaller. The way for me to think about it, Bergman's rule, Bergman's law or something, the closer you get to the equator, the smaller animals get. You know what I mean? And they're still 7-8 feet tall. They're just not girthy as the ones out there. But I absolutely believe maybe a subspecies, you know, but overall the same thing.
Working with this group and Stacy and RPG, I think I find myself having to push them to put more stuff out that they've already experienced or have. Like, I think in their mind it's something that this has already been out, it's old hat, we're on to something else, which is fine, but when you see it and there's even, you know, Cliff's study of it and you look at it, it's as compelling as any evidence gets, right? And you have to pull it out of them to talk about it.
The hard part is nowadays with minimal tech, you can fake things, and you can fake it good enough for most people. Not the pure squatchers, but most people. And that's why, you know, I believe Renee DeHinden is the one that said it. It's like, until we get a body, no one's going to believe. So when someone who is a believer and who's had experiences saw that footage, I was like, this is it. Now more people are going to believe. I mean, this is it. And then we bring Cliff in and we bring pros in and they look at it and they analyze it and they're like, this is real, we can't disprove it. And still, the general public it's BS.
Nobody needs to believe me 100%. You were not there. You need to have that doubt. Now, I'm fine with that. The personal teardowns, that's keyboard warrior stuff. You know, you don't do that face to face. All the chatter you hear, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? You think, when you have this, you think you're championed. You know, you think you're, oh man, hell yeah, you got it for us, bud. It's the best stuff since '67. The best thermal footage ever. I've always said the same thing. Hey, I want to come out, I'll give you the same camera, put you in the same spot. I got nothing to hide. I've told you everything, you know? And at the end of the day, hell, maybe it's not a Bigfoot. Maybe there was some dude running around out there in the woods, butt naked, in the dark. And that's a little bit scarier of a thought than a Sasquatch. You know, but what it's made me do is not put out anything else. Because until I have the body, or until somebody brings it to light, once it brings to light, then I can pull my whole catalog of, hey, here's all the audio we've caught, here's all the tracks we've got, here's the things that, you know, could help you, stuff of that nature. But to put it out in the Bigfoot community, they just tear each other down. The reason we haven't found Bigfoot is because nobody can unify. You know, the Bigfoot community in the whole is a terrible place, and I wish better lives for these people, you know, because, like, I don't know what situation they're in, but a lot of them are just very hateful, because I don't mind the skepticism. I welcome that. The personal teardowns, they're talking shit about my kids, my family, like after my dad passed, people celebrated it in certain groups on Facebook. Like, hey bud, life ain't going well for you, I feel bad for you. That's where I'm at with it, you know, so.
Also with us was Marty Morgan, a local with a personal history of strange encounters in northern Florida.
Well, it started back whenever I was 17 years old. Me and my buddy was out here, we were fishing. We were setting out what we call cat lines, which is basically you tie some lines onto the limbs up and down the river in a boat and wait for the catfish to bite. So I got thinking, you know, it was right at dark, and said, well, why don't we go for a ride, see if we can see something. Back then, you know, we were young and crazy, you know, so we were just going to go see if we could find something, maybe to shoot and cook over the fire, you know, we just what we did. So we got him old 74 Ford pickup truck, and we took off down the road, and we went down and cut down this little road to cut off to the left. There was something sitting down in the middle of the road, and I stopped the truck, and I'm like, him kind of looked at each other and said, what is that? You know, we've been out here, stay all night long in these woods, and we've hunted these woods. You know, we knew every creature that was in these woods, and we knew what a bear looked like, and this was not anything we had ever seen before in our life. We get out of the truck because we're so, you know, walk around to the front of the truck where the lights are, and just stand there watching it. It's sitting in the road. It looks like, I don't know whether if it was picking berries or something, maybe on the side of the road or something, but it had its back, you know, its face wasn't toward us. The back was, so I guess that's why the lights wasn't bothering it. Jim, he said, Martis, look at this. And I looked down, and there was footprints in the road. He put his foot down in this track, and it like dwarfed his. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, all I could think of, I told him, I said, get the gun, get the gun, get the gun. So he runs to the truck, grabs the gun, brings it right with it. It was an old single shot 12 gauge. I shot, and whenever I shot, it let out a roar, and I was scared to death. I turned and hauled butt to the truck. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Well, he was still standing outside the truck, looking down that way, which I didn't realize what he was looking at, a big male. It came out going over towards the one that was in the road. We took off, went back down to the river, sitting in the truck with the windows up, and sitting there just, you know, scared to death. I mean, we were just young boys, you know, we didn't know what the crap to do. Jim's like, you know, we kept saying, we got to go, you know, and I said, well, I'm not going to leave my boat because it belonged to my dad, and I'd lost him whenever I was young, and that it meant a lot to me, and I weren't going to leave my boat down there. So we said, okay. So we ran down there. Jim went down to the back of the boat, and I got the front of the boat. We started to pull the boat. About that time, splash! All I heard was splash, and I seen him just getting drenched. I mean, the water just went flying. Oh my God! And then it put out a God-curdling roar. We took off to the truck, threw the boat in the truck, and I tore out of there. We went all the way over to my cousin's where they used to have their house. There was a big pole there of the street light, and I parked my truck right up under that street light, and we sit in that truck all night long. We were scared slapped to death with the doors locked, and you know, we just looked at each other. You know, we knew we couldn't really tell nobody because we was how people would look at us, you know.
One team meet down at this end, one team meet down at that end. Hook up in the middle.
Hey, here's the Nutella.
Stacy, you know the area, obviously. I mean, it's a great spot. Seems like there's a lot of places around here. But
Right.
What do you have in mind for tonight?
Well, so tonight we're gonna basically be like fishing. We'll ride to a bunch of different spots and hang out for a little while. You know, see if we can get some action. We'll just start out listening. You know, see, because they'll communicate with each other. You know what I mean? They'll start making noises when we pull up. It's not a lot of hiking, and then we're basically testing the waters to see what we're hearing. Like, we may hear a howl way off in that direction and be like, all right, tomorrow night we're gonna hit that area.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So tonight's just more or less a recon mission, you know, but we'll be ready in case something happens, and then, you know, tomorrow night we'll get more into the hiking. Hopefully we'll have an area we can concentrate looking for tracks tomorrow and all that stuff. So
Sure.
What's your opinion on doing knocks tonight too?
You know, hey, we'll try that as it goes. I don't want to start out with any of that because they'll knock back and forth to each other. You know what I mean?
Is that what you get from this area typically?
Yeah, I'm just like listening for them. They're gonna let them know that the other ones are there, and so like usually you'll have that first knock, and I almost think that's like an alert knock. It's like, hey guys, heads up. And if you just don't go bang back on a tree to them to let them know that's what you're doing. You know, you don't want. My goal is to not let them know that I know they're there, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. Because then they'll come in. The second they know they're made, riding out, cuz.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So before we leave the spot, then we'll open up, we'll do some vocals. We'll do some knocks, do some hand claps, you know, but that's after waiting for a good bit to see if we hear anything, you know, because at some point we believe these things are very human-like, but they are still very much an animal.
Yes.
Of course. They may be super intelligent, but corner it.
See what
you know,
happens.
get in between it and its child, and then see what kind of animal comes out of that thing. You know what I'm saying? So, because they're intelligent, the way I feel is to just let them communicate. Let's catch them talking about us. They're
Hopefully.
here. We just have to find out where.
Right. Guess we've reached our destination. I gotta tell you, man, it's some cold weather out here for Florida. Low 30s, maybe.
It is proper etiquette to pee before every great
I have a
adventure.
subscription to the local car wash. They've been in here burning.
They do the controlled burns.
Just trying to look and see what's been in here. I can't believe it's 30 degrees already.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Can somebody turn on the heat?
Are you filming me filming you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I heard it like 3 times. Y'all was walking and talking, and I was hearing it. It was like 3 times back in here. About like whenever we heard it that night, whenever we were here. And y'all walked down there? Yeah.
Did you know Stacy parked us in a puddle?
Yeah, I know. You ought to see our side of the car.
Huh?
Hearing something?
Marty said he did when we walked down that way. So we'll just head down this way a little ways. Just hang out.
It's a little cold for a Southern California boy.
What's up?
Ryan Golombeski
You
is
heard
gonna
it again?
stay.
Keep hearing it.
Oh, there it is. Nobody out here today.
Well,
going on.
we're just gonna leave audio running the top of the volume.
Right on. I'm gonna put my sweatpants on. You walkies. We'll be right. Unless y'all want to split up, because we can send a group down to the river and a group back up this road. Right on.
I heard dogs barking and I heard music.
Oh, you heard music?
Yep. I thought my phone was on, so I took my phone out. My phone was not.
All I keep hearing is that.
Yeah, I heard that. That to me sounded like dogs way in the distance.
Well, that's what we heard that night, and it kept getting closer and closer on them right down there. I thought it was dogs for a long time. I'm like, there's no dogs out here.
Well, then that's real weird. Then what is it? Coyotes? But that sounded more like a dog in a yard, like whoa, whoa,
That
whoa,
night
whoa.
that we,
Yeah, hey, there ain't no.
yeah, there ain't.
Nothing for a
Yeah.
long ways, bro.
Typical. Starts with some high strangeness, some weirdness.
Yeah, that's the way it usually goes.
What's going on right now?
So we're getting knocks
Right
about
on.
a
I'll
half
hit you
mile
up.
from us. Marty's brothers posted up there. He just parked,
Yeah, man.
got out, and was hearing knocks.
Okay.
All right.
So what we're gonna do is send Stacy and you guys up
Don't
ahead,
follow the
Sure.
and then we're gonna be about 5 minutes apart, about 5 minutes behind you. We're going to go lights out behind you.
Come here.
And we got walkies to communicate, but just let us know if you hear anything, and then we'll probably do is
Y'all come back.
maybe do a call and knock
Set a ball
response to you. You know,
Sounds good.
because like from what they say, when we come in, that's them letting them, like, because he's getting them from different directions, like, hey, they're here.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Right on.
We're gonna fucking be like the
I guess you'd call it the decoy.
Yep.
They'll roll in
Loud
behind.
ones.
Maybe we can get something walking up behind us, and then we can catch it in between us and them.
Yeah, I'll be scanning. Playing it cool.
Okay, so we were just walking down the road probably 2 minutes from the car and we just heard a knock. So I didn't know if you guys heard that or not. Did you?
No, yeah, we didn't hear it. We're just gonna keep kind of walking, doing our decoy thing, and if you guys hear anything else, let us know.
You said something again.
Hey Tate, did you say something?
We got another knock response.
Yeah, so they're back over there.
All right, cool. Sweet. Yeah, we're just gonna keep doing our thing, I guess, and
Nope. Talking. Okay, there's that and there's something else. Oh. This is the bamboo shit I was talking about.
yeah, look at
And
that.
so it's just thick in this area. And then there's like 4 ponds that just fill with frogs. And we'll come out. I mean, deer eat this stuff. So
This is legit bamboo?
It's it's bamboo, but it's a different kind of
It's
bamboo.
not like an invasive kind.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but it's not the kind that's gonna get big around like that.
Yeah, the big ones.
But so that's the main thing I do is like I try to work spots where there's a plentiful food source, and then work the feed tons. You know?
Water source.
Yeah.
Because we're not that far from the river
But
there, huh?
It's like different than Washington or other places like that because it's
Water everywhere, yeah.
dude.
That's what's like up by me.
Like I don't understand why they haven't done it in Washington or California yet, because just wait till a drought and then find some water and work that area.
That's what that area Tate might have gotten that therm in. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Could you go one more time?
We're wanting to try to do a knock here in this spot. We're feeling pretty good about it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
It ain't
ahead.
gonna hurt
We
nothing.
might do a response back. We'll figure that out, but we'll see if we can hear the knock. So, I guess whenever you're ready. Alright, so we heard that. So they just did a knock.
Should we do a response?
Let's just listen for a minute.
Did you guys hear it?
Yeah, we heard it loud and clear.
Sorry.
Oh, there you are. Scared the shit out of me, bud. This road's so long and looks the same. Well, they heard the knocks back up at the camp, and then that was it.
Okay,
Or
there's
back at the tent, or the truck.
between me and the truck,
Right.
there's something on this side and that side and going whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay.
And dude heard it, and we heard it.
Right.
We didn't. I thought first it was a truck on the highway, but it wasn't.
But see, that other noise we were hearing was coming back from there. I don't know what's out that way.
I don't know what that. The river ain't
It ain't too far.
terribly far through there. See the other bunch coming in.
Oh, you see him?
Yeah.
Let's go talk to him.
Dude, okay, so we were down at the, we were walking up from our car, and about, so we were what, 2 minutes from the car?
We were probably a minute from the car.
And then we heard up to our right a clear pop.
Right.
And then another minute down the road, we heard another pop.
And the second one was even louder.
Yeah,
and
and
I mean,
closer.
it sounded like we did a knock with the
Yeah.
bat as clear as you heard it.
We didn't
Just
hear
that
anything.
pop, like wood on wood, clear as day, not a
And it's a
murky. What was
windless
that?
night right now.
Yeah, it was loud. It was just,
And
we
we
started
were,
thumping when we heard that. Like,
we
man,
were,
this is
we had
exciting.
lights out pretty much the whole way too. So, and I think after that, when we tried our knock, I think they're, like you said, they're hip to us
I
before
think-
we even did anything.
That's how it usually works out here.
They're like,
It's
we know you're here.
Exactly.
And we're posted up watching you, so you can knock and do whatever you want, but we're watching you now. Now, when you pulled up tonight, you got out, you started hearing knocks right away, right?
Right through there.
Yep, that's where we heard them.
Yep.
A little bit further, but back to the left.
Yep, that's where we heard them.
Yeah.
That's also where Marty saw something in the trees. But they also said no dogs. And
But
I
we were hearing.
I've been hearing dogs.
We were hearing
We've been
dogs.
hearing dogs.
We heard a whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah.
Was that what y'all heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a dog.
Well, just to let y'all know, I don't know what that is. It could be a coyote, but there's not a house for.
Yeah,
Because I looked it on my GPS,
what's
I was
the
like, there's
dog?
got to be, because there's a dog right, not very far, maybe
Yeah.
500, half a mile,
Yeah.
and there's not a place even close.
You heard up a whoop. All right. How far?
It did like 4 or 5 times. It's
Well,
like
it
in
sees.
between y'all and me.
Once these catch on too.
So it's 11:03, 11:08.
Yeah.
Do a call,
Okay.
and then I'll answer you, and we'll do that a few times, and then we'll head back that way. Because, hey, the deal was just to see if they're in the area. I think they're in this area, and then tomorrow we can come in here and look for tracks and stuff like that.
The good thing they burn it off, it'd be easier.
Yeah, it's gonna be easy to find stuff in this.
Real easy to find.
So,
Ready? That really hurt cold.
That's good.
Oh! What was that? What the? You saw that, right?
I did.
And what kind of sound? It wasn't a shooting star.
No.
Where was it?
It was light that's like darted around and fell down through the trees.
Explain this clearly.
Yeah.
Come over here for it, because.
Yeah, you guys explain it.
Okay.
So James and I, Marty was right here. James and I were just talking right here. And all of a sudden, we both saw like an orb flying just down through the middle of these trees, and we both simultaneously pointed at it like, "What the hell is that?"
Like,
That's what I was watching.
bright, and it shot. It didn't just fall like a shooting star that burns. It darted
Yeah.
and just dropped,
And then
like zigzag.
yeah.
Dropped.
That was it.
Like a bright blue.
Yeah, it was brighter
Yep,
than the
that's it.
stars,
That's the same one I saw
and it was
earlier.
like crazy,
That's
man.
the same one I saw earlier.
Dude, it was like
Yeah.
I mean,
right just above the tree line right over here, whatever that is.
yeah, it was right
oh, so
there.
it was in the sky?
No, yeah,
No,
but no,
it's
it
in,
wasn't
like, in the tree
Oh, it was
line.
in the tree line. Okay,
Yeah.
right on.
It was closer. That it was.
Plane.
It's probably
I watched
it was
for a
probably like
while.
halfway up that, or not even halfway up this tree, like probably 20 feet up,
And then back,
And then
where
back
the thicker
that way.
trees
So
are.
how about how high?
lower. Oh yeah, about lower than that.
Lower?
Right there.
Right there. Okay.
And just through the
That's
thick,
about how it
thick trees, but it was
Yep.
bright, and it did this.
shot to
When I
the-
seen
it shot to
it
the
was right
left.
over here.
Yeah, that was crazy shit.
You had the knocks. We had the strange call that we heard. I don't really know what it was. It could have been a dog, I guess, but it was just us wrong for our
No
location.
dogs out here.
And then you had the light, right? And
Yeah.
so it's
Weird.
like the Bigfoot activities, the knocks, and then the lights are associated with it.
It happens
I
out
don't
here.
know. It's this place. So,
Weird.
And that's why I'm throwing for a loop. That's why I've went down the woo road. It's like I gotta look at it. I gotta think about it, because when you see it like that, what's your explanation? Like, what would you say it was?
I'm at a loss. Like,
I'm trying to be rational.
I've never seen
Try to be
anything like
rational
that.
and honestly tell me what you think it was.
Well, if we were in another state, I would have said a firefly, but this place doesn't have fireflies, and that was too big and fast.
Too big and fast.
We got fireflies, but like
Not in the dead of winter.
not in the dead of winter.
Yeah, and it's 20-something degrees out.
But why reveal it? Like
And fireflies ain't blue.
I don't know.
It was too big for a firefly
Yeah.
and too bright.
It would be like a shooting star, but
Yeah.
just in the tree line and zigzagging.
Is there any kind of bugs here that have like a bioluminescence to them?
Not
No, bro.
no. The only
Besides
thing would be
fireflies?
like
Well, so you would think if there
was.
was, you would see them again.
Everywhere.
It ain't
Yeah.
that
You know,
big. We don't have no bugs that big anyhow.
How big was it?
I would probably, like, if I had to guess,
You
probably
can
like,
see it good.
Baseball size?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
that was nuts, bro.
Dude. Right on.
So I think tomorrow, like, I don't know what schedules look like, but y'all want to come and look for tracks or something with the Knox being here? That's because this was going to be one of 5 spots we went to.
I think that'd be a good idea.
You know, since we've had the activity here on the first spot, because we come out here tomorrow and, you know, maybe we can find something amazing.
Good morning, bud.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. Man, I'll tell you what. Sleeping on a cot versus sleeping on the ground, big difference. I recommend it. I'm just gonna go this time with, I have daughters.
I don't think that's your daughters doing that.
What happens in the closet late at night when everyone's sleeping and I'm giggling?
Stays in the closet.
Okay. I guess since I was about 3 or 4, I've had this recurring dream of how I die, right? When I was young, it used to terrify me. And I've never been to the place. If I was a good enough, like, Bob Ross painter or something like that, I could paint it. I could see it in my mind. But I've had it probably 20, 30 times throughout my life. Basically, I have it once a year or so. But I'm hiking. At this point, I guess I'm looking for Bigfoot. I'm not really sure. I'm hiking up in the mountains. And I'm walking along this trail that's along like a cliff, right? This big, beautiful valley out there. And I come to this one point where I turn in the trail and there's just this bear right there, right? And he just comes at me. There's nothing really to, you know, no time to do anything. Next thing I know, I'm on my back and this bear is like tearing at my innards, you know, eating my belly, and it's always the same dream. And then I look out and I see the valley, and then every single time I'll say, "That's nice," and then I'll wake up and let me go out like that, you know. I don't understand it. Like I said, it used to terrify me, and like now I kind of, when I realize I'm having that dream, I'll kind of try to look for clues or something, but it never changes. It's always the same. And yeah, it's strange.
Yeah. She's like, dude, I think those qualify. I'm like, okay.
I'm on Kansas City. 3rd and 6.
He's sacking, and that's 3rd and 6.
If we get another touchdown on this drive, I'm gonna be flying high.
Seems like he is.
Oh, stars will align tonight, man. Stars will align.
This Squatch necklace took me 2 years of shakedown with James Bobo Fay. He was getting them from a guy named the Spirit Carver, and it's absolutely amazing. It's real abalone. And he was handing them out to everyone, like everybody except me. And I was like, can I have one? Can I have? I never really wanted anything so bad in my life, you know? And long story short, after 2 years, he gave it to me. And then the very next night, he asked me, I need that back, RPG. I got to give it to this guy. And it was the first time I ever said no to him. And then he just got this look, and I was like, well, either I'm about to get punched and he's going to rip it off me, or I'm going to finally gain a little respect in this relationship. And boom, he said, you're an asshole. And he walked away. And boom, here we are.
Epic.
She quit doing it. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the brotherhood that Stacy and I have, and how I am slowly bringing him closer to the positivity and seeing the good in people and not having to punch everybody in the face, you know? But at the same time, he's pulling me the other way, because if I could stand up for myself a little more, maybe I'd be in a better place.
There's a balance, you know?
So we're back in the spot from last night, right? And this is, you're of the people here, you're the only one that heard the knocks. So
I was the only one that heard the knock, and I was near when the sphere came by, but I was facing the wrong direction. Car was up there.
Yeah, we're parked. Y'all walked like 2 minutes, Tate said.
Yeah, when we heard the knocks, we were heading obviously this way. He hit the tree here once, hit the tree down there a second time. And then this basic direction, which is also where Marty had seen the spheres originally. So
he's seen the spheres on this side originally.
He's seen the spheres here, and then the other place he saw it was, I'm almost positive it's that tree right to like the side of it where the boys saw it up here. They were like, and the thing comes down Meanwhile, I'm facing this way. Were you down the road at that?
I was just in the middle of the road by myself, yeah.
And I was facing this way because I was feeling like we got to go this way all night, this way, but nobody listens to me, you know? I'm from out of town. So I perfectly missed that. But the sounds...
So this is where the knocks came from, this side. And that was before you guys did knocks that you heard it? Or was this
was the first
when
knock,
you started
right?
moving, right?
Yeah, well then we started moving, and then that's when he heard the second knock.
Oh, so you did do a knock before you heard it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I wasn't sure about.
But not Marty, but Monroe was saying before just as they're getting out of the truck, more traditional alerting that they're there, yeah.
Right, so I guess we'll just fucking head out this way, and there's a... I may want to pull my GPS up, but I believe there's a swamp head right there, like a pond.
Kind of walk in there and see what we can
yeah, maybe
see.
we'll find some breaks. Maybe there's some tracks. They just burned this area, so you know, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something in there. And they're not carrying around those little bats like Tate's got to make this like real crisp whack sound, you know. That's my biggest thing, is how are they making the knocks? I almost believe it's hand claps.
Yeah.
What about rocks?
Their mouth, you know. It could be rocks.
Or what about even, like, I've heard people do
heard
that really loud.
We have this crazy vocal from Ohio where it literally sounds like a cartoon water pop noise. After we hear a knock, and then there's like it's like this noise. It's like this cartoon pop. And our buddy Jonathan said he's heard that in the Sierra Nevadas, and he's learned how to do it himself, so he can do this noise by going like that, but it's so super loud.
Yeah. That's the direction we came from. I mean, this is it. But like I said before, to me, I couldn't tell the distance. You know, I couldn't tell you that it was this close or it was miles away. That's what I found interesting about the wind.
So the volume was there, right?
Well, because you heard it. It wasn't like it was just quiet. But I don't know, does that sound get muffled because of the water and because of the lay of the land, so to speak? I don't know. But it would make sense if we heard it in this direction and they're right in here, kind of smelling our stinky acid.
I don't put a lot into that structure shit.
Yeah.
Now, if we come across something like they found up in the Olympics, then I'll poop my pants, but...
Right.
So what are we looking at?
Right here.
Yeah.
I don't know. So you got your trail coming right through there.
Yep.
Right along this way. We'll head on this way over to this other head. But
anyway, so that's pretty rad though. You were right. Come back. One print.
I mean, I don't want to read too into it because there's just not a lot there.
Yeah,
but you've almost got like a shape there.
It broke this fucking limb though when it stepped.
Yeah, look at that.
You know what I mean? So there's some kind of weight to it. I believe, is it not?
I don't know. Look at the break.
No, it is not the same branch.
They're just both crispy. Huh?
I don't know, because it's like, is this a pine limb branch? This is. I don't think this is. I think this is oak. This is two different things. So X on what I just said.
One of those things you always wonder is like, is it me just trying to hope that it's a track or is it legit a track? That's always the problem.
You just see, at the end of the day, maybe the knocks are more substantial than that, and I ain't found nothing like that everywhere else. I don't know what would have made that.
But it's in the direction of said knocks.
And it's crossing
it's
the game trail, basically, so hey.
There's another waterhead right over there. We'll walk and check that out.
Do you ever have doubts?
About what?
Sasquatch?
No.
I guess not, huh?
Nope. Not because of the footage, but because of my encounter. The footage, I'm sold on what it is. I mean, I was there.
Sure.
So I'm the only person that's alive that knows 100%. But with Sasquatch, I don't. I just, you know, we get out here and we don't find nothing. And that's when I start, it's like, man, you're never going to find this. Why are you out here? You beautiful girl at the house. you know, you got kids. Why are you spending time out in the fucking woods, man? I question my sanity. That's what I question. So if you look here, these trees that are kind of mowed to the side now, they were all stacked over the road. This was after like the first time we had been in here. Because I think we'd been in here like 3 times, and then so after the 3rd time, which was all spaced out about 6 weeks, the trees were all over the road. So we're looking, and on these trees there's these little acorns, right? So it's like something was breaking the trees down to eat the acorns off the top of them. And like 3 days later, some guy comes in, I don't know who, I guess they work for the forestry or something, and they just mowed all of them down. Like mowed straight down the sides, and that was it. They only went to about maybe 10 yards behind the car and then stopped. And I was like, oh my God, because we hadn't got a chance to check it with like hair or anything like that. So, you know, they couldn't get the ones that were off this main road here, and that's what I'll show you now. So, let's see, yeah.
Right on.
Do that again, but better.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like these trees here, just all loaded with these little small acorns. The one that's pretty good. Hold on, there's a good one. Give me a minute, I'll find it. Something had came in here, and there's no claw marks on the tree. So I mean, because Barry too, in all fairness, but it was just pulled down, and you see this one's pulled down, and the tree's got stress marks on it here where it was snapped over, where something tall enough was eating these things. Like you got this pine tree was broke here when whatever it was pulling this down.
Oh wow.
And the same thing, they were just eating stuff off the top, but then they also blocked the road. There was a bunch of these trees laid across the road, you know, and all that all across the road, right? And it was all getting busted off. But then they come in here with a mower and cut some of the trees up, but you could walk back in there and there's a few more where they couldn't get their mower. It's just something, pressure broke that, but we got no teeth marks, no claw marks to indicate that it would be a bear. But this tree was like loaded. You only see a few of them now, and it goes back a little ways, I believe. We're all looking around like, wow, 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 you know. Monroe and Marty sending me pictures like, you gotta get out here. And before I could get out here, some comes over, and you can see these trees right here, like that. And just, it was weird. Like, why would you only bush hog up to about where, a little bit past the car? Didn't make no sense to me. It could be reach at the same time, but something pulled them trees down to eat them acorns. Whether it was a bear or a skunk ape, I don't know. But there were no, I would figure if it was a bear, there'd be teeth marks, claw marks.
Yeah.
There was just none of that. So then we came in here that next time. And I brought this guy from Kentucky down in here. And he was just blown away. Like, he did a knock, we were about to leave, and then this tree just bow, 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 bow.
Wow.
It was like it was getting pissed off, and then you could see the tree shaking and he's like, that went on for about an hour, and he's like, I'm good to go, man. I was like, you sure? Because I got a gun on me. You know, I didn't know the guy, so
yeah.
Walking at 10.
Yeah.
All right, y'all ready, fellas?
Yes, yeah, we gotta go. We're 5 minutes behind schedule.
Yep.
Who's driving? You guys hear that? Hold on.
There's something out there.
So we just had something big, pretty sizable, walk through the brush over there. I don't hear anything else though.
I mean, it stopped, whatever it is. It stopped in there.
I think it's a deer.
What do you think, Stacy? Deer-sized? Larger?
I don't know, man. He was moving slow like it might be a hog or something.
Not alone.
We'll hear some more.
Let's go.
The thought is when we approach this spot, we'll kind of quiet down before we get there. And so whatever this is seems to be attracted to Stacy. So we'll let him go ahead.
That's what Marty says.
That's what Marty says.
There's a series of islands in here, right? And you can't get back there, and that's where the knocks and come from, is on these islands.
So we're walking down the trail, and this is like the third or fourth or fifth time Aleks has seen something off in the woods.
Some deer. 3?
Yeah, we got about 3 deer.
Nice. That was cool to see. Got 3 deer in the turn. So.
Nice.
Food sources.
Very cool.
This is so the islands, like on the other side of here. So that one's so big, and there's another one off over there and out in there. And usually the notes or the noises come from.
Let's go sit at that bench.
I don't think there's a bench there anymore.
So what do you usually do, Stacy, when you're here that gets responses?
Just hang out, man. Just do our thing, just chill. And you know, if they're in the area, they'll come up. They'll let you know. They're not bashful at all.
They're not like Eli?
Like me? Why do you say that?
Because it's ironic. It's not true. What did you call it? An awkward confidence?
Awkward confidence.
That's actually, but it's still confidence, so that's all that matters. Keep it up, kid.
There we go. Oh no. I almost just fell in.
So I forgot my Navic in the car. Well, I left it there. But I have these 2 little nifty things I made. We're gonna try and knock and see if we get anything back. Here we go, nothing.
Hear that?
I heard that.
What's out here?
Yep.
Is that a knock?
sticking out, and then it went back into the woods. Was RPG. I don't think so. RPG. Was that you making those monkey sounds?
No, they like exploded. So I waited, and then I did one, and then they just went quiet. I don't know, the more I just listen to the owls, I think that has something to do with it. And they went quiet. What was that? Did you hear that? Let's go farther ahead on the road. You hear it in there, right? It's an armadillo. I'm pretty sure. There's movement all around us.
So basically, we're up the road, me and RPG. We're looking for the source of the sound of the things moving out up in the bush. We discover it's 2 armadillos. Then we hear 2 knocks off to our left. We turn around to go look at it. As soon as I point the camera in that direction, the IR torch dies. Like, immediately. And usually before it dies, it starts flashing, you know? And it didn't. And now it's having issues turning on and off. It'll turn on for a little bit and then just die again. And, like, it doesn't do the flashing. I mean, do the flashing thing again. I mean, that's on max, right? It's flashing.
Yeah.
But, like, it wasn't doing that before. And I can't explain that.
Well, I think it's awesome that we figured out one part of the noise. This whole place is alive. There's movement on every side of us. Alec might have got something peeking around the tree, fucking actual peeking. Armadillo on that side. Could be more armadillo here. Something moving across on the other side of the pond. And then when we heard those knocks, for his camera to be working fine, and just as it goes to go down, okay, sure, but like there is high strangeness around all of this, you know. And maybe the real point is we shouldn't be just going for the Squatch. We should be here for everything else. Maybe therein lies the answer, you know.
The equipment malfunctioning is part of it. It's not the first time it's happened out here. He had brought in a REM pod out here, and a black shadow they saw running across, circle around, get near the REM pod. The REM pod went nuts. Paul was sitting over there, and the next thing you know, Paul's cozied up to Stacy because he's freaked out. But yeah, there's some real weirdness to this place, man.
What's the thing? It's like with the IR torch, you could see into the bushes. without it, it's not powerful enough from the camera alone. And the fact that it happened, we were right next to those knocks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, right as I turned to look at, it's like, I can't see him in the bushes anymore. I don't know.
It was bizarre. Scared the crap out of me on the first one.
It was an armadillo. I was gonna say, sounds pretty small. Did you hear that? I did. Was that an armadillo too?
Yeah, so last night was interesting. You know, we heard some interesting stuff. I thought I had something on the thermal, but it's probably a armadillo. But what did you guys think of last night?
It's cool, man. That spot, especially I think with us walking in, that's why all the wildlife was there, and we were getting the knocks. And usually once they knock, we're made and nothing else happens. So to have a few more of them go on was pretty cool.
That was, how often do we go to a spot and there's just wildlife all around us, like consistent the whole night? So I'd like to thank the armadillo for showing up last night. And then it seems like everywhere we went around here, we got knocks.
Yeah.
So I gotta tell you, man, this is some squatchy ass habitat, and like, thank you very much, you know, for getting me up here. We'll definitely have to come back here and do some.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for me, it was the first night. I mean, last night was cool, and there's definitely some stuff going on. I know we heard that last night. You heard a knock, and who else was it? You two.
Yep.
Yeah, also heard a knock, but from different areas, but it was at the same time. So that was cool. But the first night when we got out of the car and literally the group went ahead of us, we walked a minute and we heard the clearest knock, you know. 1 minute later, even a louder, clearer knock that echoed. It stopped us in our tracks. And then of course on the way back, Tate did a knock, comes over to the car, we're just, you know, talking crap, and then we're facing the wood line and we saw this orb shoot and zigzag and just poof, vanish, and it was, I don't know, can't explain it.
It was really odd. I think the first night for me was the best, in my opinion. Yeah. Last night was still really cool, but yeah, the first night was really, really awesome.
The IR torch, the IR torch dying was probably the weirdest thing.
Right when the knock was happening.
Oh, yeah. Right when the knock was happening, because I don't know, we just charged it. Like there's no
We usually
reason.
get about 3 to 4 nights out of it too, and that was only 2.
No, he
really
went
weird.
like this. Oh, knock.
And it was
powered down.
Yeah. What the
and
heck?
then it was no warning
up.
lights, and it was just like freaking out.
It's still toast. We need to charge that thing again. Yeah. It's crazy.
The first night, Marty saw, before Tate and I clearly saw it, Marty saw some lights dancing in the woods and went to call Stacy to tell him, who was in the group further up. The second he went to call, his phone was at 30%, his phone died.
It just died. I mean, I just gone.
Yeah.
As soon as I called him.
After a while, you have to start, okay, hey, we had knocks and an orb, and our equipment went dead. You know, it's like, how many times does that happen before you're like, all right, maybe there's something to it?
Yeah.
And maybe there's not, but...
I'm really glad, I'm glad y'all got to come and we got to prove it, well, you know, share this with y'all, because, you know, it means a lot to me. The other people, you know, is taking what we're saying for real. And I'm just glad that I'm in a group of brothers that, you know, sticks to our guns. So.
Shout out to Monroe too.
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. It seemed like everywhere we went, right when we were like, "Are we in the right?" and he'd just pull up, "Hey, can I help?"
right.
Like, forget AAA, I got Monroe.
Right. The other thing is, the area is so vast that, like I'd mentioned earlier, if you think it's Florida, you think, okay, you've got like one little area that's, you know, it's this big area of the Everglades and a couple other park areas or preserves, but you get out here and you're like, you could spend a month and not cover it. It's not mountains, but it's like jungle.
You could disappear out here if you really wanted to.
Absolutely.
For sure, dude. Like, people have.
Yeah, and just the fact that there's a history of sightings in this area, obviously Marty, but you guys have been experiencing, and Stacy, you guys have been in this area for a while, and I wish we could stay longer and continue to hit this spot up, but anything you guys get, we'd love to hear about, and just, I mean, wish you luck in this area.
Road work ahead. I sure hope it does.
We're somewhere in Monticello, Florida at a gas station.
Boss man, hot wing sauce, wings hot.
There's only like 50 some miles left of gas in Tate's vehicle. I'm sure we can find another gas station.